What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the SFS channel. My name's Gavin, and today I've got some Week 13 lineup fades for you guys. Some players I think should be staying out of lineups if at all possible due to some difficult situations come game day and matchups. So, as always, before I get into today's video, if you guys haven't already, make sure you've gone down and hit the subscribe button to my channel and have that bell turned on so you guys are notified whenever I come out with a new video. So, let's not waste any more time. Let's hit the intro and get into today's video. All right, my first guy I sit down on the bench this week is Ezekiel Elliott, the Dallas Cowboys starting running back, and this one is a very simple pick for me. That Dallas O-line is an absolute mess right now, and they are missing so many of their starting guys up front and have had to shuffle that line around so many times this season. And against a very solid Baltimore front this week, I think Elliott struggles to find running lanes and becomes a very touchdown-dependent play, which I don't think will be a very easy thing for him to find because I think that entire offense will struggle greatly. Just to emphasize Dallas's offensive struggles and Zeke's lack of fantasy production, he has 7.5 half PPR points or fewer in 5 of his 6 last games. So Zeke is no longer a safe play in fantasy, and this is a guy that needs to be on benches this week. I think Baltimore is going to do a number on that Dallas offense, and Zeke will put up very minimal numbers. My next player to fade out of lineups this week is Kyler Murray, and I know this one is a very tough sit for many teams out there. Not too many groups have a reliable starter who can put up the numbers that we are used to seeing from Kyler Murray, but this week against the Rams, and with that AC joint sprain in his throwing shoulder, I think you definitely have to question whether or not it's worth it to risk him in your starting lineups this week. The Rams have Aaron Donald, who will be a highly effective pass rusher all game long, and with DeAndre Hopkins being shadowed by Jalen Ramsey, I think Kyler Murray is going to have a limited ceiling this week. And on top of that, that Rams defensive unit has been one of the top groups in the NFL as a whole this year and is currently the number 4 ranked group in fantasy. So they've had a very great season to this point, and I think an injured Kyler Murray definitely has some significant risk in this game. If your team can afford the move, I think it's worth considering another option at your quarterback spot this week. Right alongside Kyler Murray comes his top wide receiver option, DeAndre Hopkins, and I think this is another guy that you guys need to consider sitting down on your bench this week. No doubt, DeAndre Hopkins has been one of the best fantasy wide receivers and one of the more productive and consistent guys in the league this year, but against the Rams, it is definitely a question that is worth asking whether or not he's worth the risk this week. He is likely going to see press man coverage and shadow coverage from Jalen Ramsey, one of the league's best this week. So I think that poses a great threat to Hopkins' value in fantasy this week. Last week, we saw him struggle against Stephon Gilmore, another one of the league's top corners. So I think it's definitely considering other options this week. Hopkins has a great ceiling normally, but especially with a dinged-up Kyler Murray as well, I think it might be better to go other routes. If you're starting to see a trend here with this next player, there definitely is one. I am sitting my Cardinals down in fantasy this week. Kenyan Drake as well in that group. And this is a guy who I have not liked all season long. I've been talking about how he is a very inefficient runner, and his yards per touch is very low. And he's been a touchdown-dependent play all year. I think that holds true again this week, and I don't like him against a very strong Rams defensive unit and defensive line especially. So set Kenyan Drake down. There's definitely better RB2 options this week or even flex plays. So sit him down. There's definitely a better route to go. I think this is going to be another really hard one for fantasy managers to swallow this week, but Antonio Gibson also makes my fades list for week 13. And this is a guy, rest of season after this week, I love in fantasy, but this week in particular against the Steelers, I do not like his matchup one bit. Gibson has 10 plus fantasy points in 5 straight games, which is great, but the Steelers have been absolutely nasty against the run at points in the season and have been one of the better defenses in the league. So I think that Washington is going to be much better suited throwing the football in this game. I think Terry McLaurin is definitely a guy that deserves to be in lineups because the secondary and back end is the weakness of this group. But that defensive line and that front seven is very, very good at what they do. So I think Antonio Gibson has tough sledding in week 13. Another guy who I really love the rest of the season in the fantasy playoffs after this week, but for week 13, I am a little bit lower on than usual, is Justin Herbert, the LA Chargers star rookie quarterback. And this is a guy who has been sensational as a rookie here, and he's been honestly one of the better fantasy producers at that quarterback position. But this week, against the Pats defense, a Bill Belichick-led defense, I am very concerned for the numbers that we're going to see out of Justin Herbert. Throughout the entirety of the Patriots dynasty and the Bill Belichick era in New England, he has played extremely harsh defense against rookie and young quarterbacks, and Justin Herbert, while he is great, is no exception to that. Bill Belichick is going to throw things at him defensively that he has not seen yet, and he is going to throw this kid for a loop. I think that Justin Herbert is still going to put up starting level numbers, but his value is definitely down this week. If you guys are a little bit deeper at quarterback, it is well worth considering another option, because I think Justin Herbert will struggle to find the high touchdown count we're used to seeing from him, and I think he might have to rely on his legs a little bit more. And the fact that he has Keenan Allen, his top target, being covered by Stephon Gilmore, I think also is a big red flag for Herbert this week. He's going to have to try and rely on other options in that offense to get the job done, and I think that the Chargers offense has some bad play calling as well from Anthony Lynn, so that's not going to do him any favors, and it is a major coaching mismatch this week. If I'm being honest, LA is probably best suited running the football this week and just trying to pound the game out and win the time of possession rather than throw the football with a young quarterback against Bill Belichick. So Justin Herbert, definitely a guy I am super high on the rest of the season, but this week comes with some red flags. And then just like Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins, with Justin Herbert being on my fades list, we also have to be cautious about Keenan Allen. And like I said, Stephon Gilmore, one of the league's best corners and the Defensive Player of the Year in 2019, he will definitely be following Keenan Allen around on the field and trying to remove him from this matchup, make things harder on Justin Herbert, and make that Chargers offense uncomfortable. So Keenan Allen, I think they're going to struggle to get him the football this week. Bill Belichick is going to do what he can to take away the Chargers' best offensive threat, and that is Allen right now. So I think his offensive production is going to be minimalized this week, and we should expect some lower numbers from him in Week 13. Right now, Todd Gurley is still questionable with a knee issue that has been bugging him for quite some time now. Obviously, he has arthritis in his knee, but he actually missed his first game to that issue last week. So Todd Gurley right now, though, if he is able to play, you can substitute Brian Hill and Ito Smith into this role if he doesn't go. But against the Saints defense right now, the number one ranked unit against the run, I want nothing to do with Todd Gurley this week. If he doesn't score a touchdown, he is useless. I brought up this stat many times this season. Todd Gurley only has 2 games this year over 63 yards rushing. So obviously this guy is a good standard play when he gets in the end zone. But outside of that, in all other scoring formats, he can lay duds very easily. I touched on this matchup a little bit earlier with Ezekiel Elliott, but Amari Cooper is also a guy I don't want anything to do with in that Dallas offense this week. I think in general, I'm just staying away from all my Cowboys in all leagues. I don't really own any of them, but if you guys do, definitely stay off of them. Amari Cooper will likely be covered by Marlon Humphrey this week, who is one of the top-rated corners in the league by Pro Football Focus right now. So obviously he's getting the job done this year. Amari Cooper is a highly talented player, but obviously no Dak Prescott in this game. Andy Dalton, the starting quarterback, has terrible pass protection as well. He might have the worst 2 tackles in the NFL starting for him right now, so that is a terrible issue. And then last week on Thanksgiving, he lost his all-pro guard who had moved out to tackle, Zach Martin. So nothing is really going the Cowboys' way this season, and I don't think we want anything to do with them in fantasy the rest of 2020. So I would look to find a different option for your lineups in Week 13 as well as the rest of the season. And then finally, this last spot can go either to James Conner or Benny Snell. It is unknown right now and kind of up in the air whether or not James Conner will be able to clear COVID protocols and hit the field this weekend. And if he's not, Benny Snell will be elevated into that RB1 role and see the majority of the touches for that Steelers offense. But regardless, Steelers running backs are not guys I want to start this week against a very, very solid Washington football team front 7. That group has so many first-round picks invested into that top tier of the defense, and they have a very strong core from top to bottom, and obviously the strength is on that D-line. So I think Pittsburgh all around has a strugglesome offensive game and doesn't put up too many points on the board this week, but I think that in particular they are really going to struggle to run the ball, and their best opportunities will come through the air. Those are my top 10 players to fade for Fantasy Football Week 13. If you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and turn that bell on so you guys are notified whenever I come out with a new video. Thank you guys so much as always for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to put those down in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to get to as many of you guys as possible. So Thank you so much again for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.